Sorry about switching that over a bit earlier. I sort of anticipated that it already switched, because I don't think you get the ping when you're alt-tab like you do when you're queued up for Sparta, which is like what I usually rely on. So today we bring you a game, and I'll fix the camera. Today we bring you a game on Ghost Lake, the now favourite of the community, I'd say. And spawning in the top side today, we've got CG Kaspara playing as the Greeks in his blue trunks. Look at those blue trunks villagers. They're just ready to fight, bro. Anyways, spawning in the bottom side of the map as the red Persian player. His villagers don't exactly have trunks, they've got clothes, they're civilized. And yeah, he's Persian today, so both players taking their first hunts. And Kaspara already has picked up a lot of these middle sheep. So is Crimson, he's already picked up a patch of them too. So these middle sheep groups, that's 300 food instead of 200 because, you know, there's 3 sheep instead of 2. So, you know, do the maths. And we've got a barracks coming out from both players. Crimson's is a little bit faster, I believe. So whether he's just played that, you know, first minute a little bit better, or whether he's just gotten a little bit luckier with the spawns, I'd wager, you know, probably a little bit luckier generally between most players of sort of similar caliber, in a sense, without, you know, sort of knocking Crimson in this instance. Because there is a little bit of luck involved with the RNG in that first minute. Well, RMS, RNG. But in saying that, you know, you tend to grow a feel for, oh, there's going to be a hunt probably somewhere here-ish, and probably somewhere here-ish. So, you know, the more you play each map, the more you actually tend to learn how all the spawns work. And Kaspara actually pinching sheep and ferrying them around the outside of the map. So Crimson got his first spire out. Kaspara got his first spearman out. So they're both going to continue production of those for the next, I don't know, couple of minutes. Try and put a bit of pressure on one another here. I think the Greek, if Kaspara is able to continually funnel them out without getting pushed off to begin with, I think the Greek should actually really, I guess, come out ahead in a sense, because their spears, as much as they're really food heavy, they're actually fairly light on the gold, so you can sort of delay that starting gold mine, go a bit heavier on the hunt. Like, you sort of have to, but you can actually afford to in a sense too. I don't know, personally I feel like Babs have the strongest age 1. Although Celts is also really good as well, just because their mobility allows you to like weave in and out of fights. And like if your unit micro is good and you got good control, you can really abuse that. But anyway, so both players massing up for their initial push. I think both of them have probably sort of anticipated the other pushing in this instance, because Crimson's actually guarding both his hunts. Kaspara still only on the single hunt, but he's got all the spears there to defend it. Doesn't have anything defending his wood line, but it's sort of close enough that he'll be able to get out without much of a problem, I think. Because generally you sort of want to take the safest wood line you can. Crimson's is pretty safe as well. It's going to be quite hard to get to the villages, although they're not optimally gathering. They'll probably be best off on these trees here. But Crimson seems to be making the first push now. Kaspara actually choosing to age up, because he sort of feels quite safe with this spearman number, because it's going to require Crimson to probably go up to maybe 9 or 10 Spire bar to actually try and break through that with equal micro, I'd say. But Kaspara actually being warded back by Crimson with these forward Spire. It's even numbers now, but that's not the greatest fight for Crimson, but in a sense he's going to try and get the storehouse out. He's got other Spire right here. They were being harassed by the scout. He's actually sent the villager away because I don't think he actually got seen then. I wish there was sort of like a quick replay function. That'd be cool. Anyway, so it's 10 versus 9, and villager counts, it's 17 apiece. Crimson must have cut a villager perhaps, because he's actually down in age, so he should be probably 2 villagers ahead, considering Kaspara's hit while Crimson had started researching. Crimson's going to try and actually shepherd the wolves back onto the spearmen. It might actually work here. and he is going to receive a bit of healing. So this storehouse has had a tent research. So that's a Persian unique ability, which basically lets you heal up quite quickly, really. I think it's 10 health per second. So that's basically the damage of one of these infantry units. So 11. Well, these guys, well, they do 11 as well, but they've got a 2.5 times infantry multiplier, whereas Spears is on cavalry. So now that Kaspar has that H2, this does sort of put Crimson at a bit of a back foot if Kaspar wants to push right now, in a sense, and put everything into it. But I think he's going to be more worried about making sure this doesn't get sniped, because if Crimson rallies off here and onto there while Kaspar is pushed, the TC can be sniped, and that can actually really set him back. He sort of does have the stone and wood to be able to throw up a second one in the case he gets sniped at about a third health or less, but he's just not taking that chance. But in saying that, it also gives Crimson the chance to get out his second town centre, transition to Bowman and Asabara as well in this composition, and possibly keep trying to creep forward to the point where he can deny the gold mine, throw up towers nearby, and then focus on trying to raid his opponent's wood lines with any cavalry he's got, or the hunt up here, and really try and cage Kaspar at this stage. So I guess that's what he's aiming for. He's actually taking Hansel, so he's actually playing a bit heavy on eco behind this, which is interesting to see because it leaves him really quite bare here in a sense. But in saying that, it means that he's not really ever on the back foot, because he's only down to 3 villages. TC's finished now, so he'll be able to basically stay caught up in macro, although he hasn't actually started producing villages out of that town. So, here we go. So the range is going up. Kaspar actually going range and 2 racks at this stage, whereas Crimson still working on getting some more wood to get out those racks. He's gone a bit higher on the houses, had to make the investment of the forward storehouse and the 8-tent tech, and he was a little bit later in terms of second TC. I think he actually might have had a villager not in production for, maybe 1 villager or just over 1's length. Just trying to force out extra Spyro maybe, or maybe, I'm not too sure. He sort of seemed to fall behind on villager count when Kaspar took the faster age, so I'm just not quite sure there. But Kaspar getting his stables as well, so he wants to really deny the Persian bowman in this case, because that's a lot of Greek infantry, and they're going to probably take that storehouse now. But in a sense, if he basically healed up, it's right about R50 cost units, so basically the storehouse itself is more or less paid for, because he probably took more than a full unit's worth of damage across the units, so he's not really lost a great deal out of that in a sense, and he's already got the 8-tent tech in case he gets raided by Saris or he gets pushed into really hard, so that can come into play later on in the game. Kaspar actually, thank you so much, guys. Basically there was a bug where we couldn't see this for a while, but I'm so glad that that's been fixed, so thank you to the development team for getting that all sorted. You know, it seemed to be out of action for, I don't know, a couple of weeks, but it seemed like must have been a bit of a difficult fix too. And then, you know, they batched it in with a whole bunch of other hot fixes because something else broke only in the past week, and they've already gotten onto that and fixed it, so shout outs to the dev team. They're all volunteer fellas and chillers, so that's ladies and gents, pretty informally. So yeah, here we see the 8-10 tech coming into play again. It's going to allow that Asabara to heal up to full. It's the only damaged unit under it, so he hasn't got anything else low to really focus on multitasking the healing. But it looks like Kaspar is going to be able to take some good vision here, because that'll be a nice raiding path for Crimson if he wants to go up that way. And in the meantime, Kaspar is going to try and split his units up here and try and force Crimson's hand, because he wants to have to split his army up as well, and if Crimson can't respond quickly enough and efficiently enough, he's going to really cop it economically. Some workers being shepherded off a hunt, and some workers being shepherded off another hunt that's nearly finished, but the workers are still, you know, getting another 200 food out of that or so, and a little bit quicker than these berries, because Crimson, he has taken hunting dogs, hasn't taken picker's gloves, so He's actually going to be quite slow on the berry scattering, and at this stage he's not actually producing any villages because he's just more worried about defending here, as well as trying to raid with his Asabara. He's going to potentially... Oh, yeah, he split these up, so he's going to snipe 2 workers at a time basically here with this nice 3-2 split. And he's going to get these Asabara out. He's managed to deny that berries from Kaspara, but Kaspara is coming back in here at the bottom side, going to try and... I think he's seen the houses, so he's probably going to try and snipe those in the meantime, because Crimson doesn't have a whole lot at home, having taken the cavalry out. So, yeah, so the houses are going to get sniped probably, I'd say. So Crimson does have quite a large force here, so he might be able to clean that up, actually. And we see a market being attempted at here by Crimson, but I don't know how successful it's going to be. One of the houses actually gets felled, but all the others are okay. There's a big clump of bowmen here, so it can be quite hard for Kaspar to try and sneak out of this, because Crimson's able to... Oh, he's just focusing on other things, I think, but yeah, here we go. So split up some bowmen as well, push these ones forward, so this is really nice. He's going to get a lot of shots off here that these ones aren't going to get off, but now he's going to have to come right past the town centre. Basically has no forces left out of that little forward push. So Crimson doing a good job of defending there, really. He's lost the house, but he took a fairly favourable trade there, I think, even into the high pass, just because he's the bowman. And population counts, he's actually ahead. Villager counts, he's ahead as well. So Crimson now doing a much better job at keeping continual villager production up. And because Kaspara had a little bit of a lead there, but I think that and loot. Oh, yep, sorry. He also had a whole bunch sniped too. Well, really, it was only about 4 or 5. And Kaspara had about that lead. So Crimson's actually produced slightly better as well. And he's going to get denied another hunt here. So Kaspara doing a good job at really limiting Crimson's ability to gather a lot of food, going into later age 2, trying to hit age 3, I'd say. Both players are probably wanting to tack up to their age 3 compositions quite soon, because this fight is really sort of knife edge for the pair of them. And there's no actual... yeah, there is no spearman yet for Crimson, so if there is a lot of Saris to counter the big number of bowmen, there's not a lot Crimson can actually do to clean them up quite quickly, because the Asabara, as tanky as they are facing the Saris, don't deal a lot of the damage to them either, so it's a pretty slow fight between the pair of them. And here we see good Sari usage straight onto the bowman, so they're going to be able to basically just about one-shot them. And it's near enough, it's not good enough in a sense, but it just means you need to get 2 attacks in like that. And so Crimson doesn't quite have the meat line to take this fight. Might have lost a few too many Asabara going into that, but in a sense, Kaspara is not going to be able to easily push into this. Crimson really needs to get more than one villager onto that if Kaspara chooses to push in, but he's actually choosing to hold off for the time being. He mustn't realise that that's not going to be completing for any quick span of time. But there's a double market setup going up, so Crimson is playing this a little bit greedily. Like I think he would have seen one of these watchtowers, so realistically he probably should have went straight to this side or to the back of his base and tried to wall off here a little bit. So the Asabara are going to come in and clean this up, but there are also spearmen here. So one of them does die fighting that wolf, so he'll get a medal of service for that. And Kaspara running a force round to the back of Crimson's base. He knows there's a gold here. He knows there's those houses there, so if he can snipe those, be quite good value. And this is why Crimson probably should have gone this side as well, because then he'd already be ahead of Kaspara and being set up here. In a sense, it'd be sort of easy for Kaspara to hit it, but he sort of positioned it down here, maybe. Anyway, back to the fight. So the villagers, a lot of them, 75 to 66. So a lot of them actually being alright. Crimson actually opening up his worker lead here, because Kaspara must have had a bit of a lull there. Oh yeah, taking age 3. So he took age 3 as well as probably have them cut for a sec, because he hasn't got a huge amount of food himself. Actually expanding into a couple of spots to get some food up this side because he thinks it's the safer side, and taking a bit of a wander back over here. But this is a nice little force here from Kaspar because he's going to be able to keep denying these caravans. He knows about them up here. He's got these spearmen in position to actually do something up here. So he's just having a bit of a look, but he's going to get a villager out of that. Or the market. It'll take a while to actually get the market. The Prodromos actually coming up to try and help clean that up. They're going to be quite good against the buildings. And so a couple of caravans being sniped. What's it, 73 to 72, so Crimson's worker lead's suddenly not quite there now. Oh yeah, that'd be why. So Kaspar actually now basically undoing the market advantage because he's sniped most of the caravans. He's going to destroy these, but this fight isn't that bad for Crimson because he's going to be able to rally in a much bigger force to deal with this. And some nifty micro there with the Asabar. Actually, I think he might have just rallied all Asabara somewhere. Although they are only quite low, so they're not going to be able to scout out much here. I think he just wants to check the gold mine. Yeah, so the gold mine is clear. This market has finished up for Cass, so Cass is going to be able to get some good gold income. He's already got quite a fair bit of gold banked. And the Siege Workshop is going to be in quite a dangerous position for Crimson, really, because if he doesn't really have any vision up this way, so he doesn't actually know about this at all. So that's quite precarious for him. We never actually got to see. Yeah, so both the Asabara would have just died to the Prodromos, I think. He's sort of got the health I expected him to have. Although there is a couple going over this side, so this is quite smart for Crimson because you're going to be able to deal a good amount of economic damage. Kaspar has sort of boxed Crimson in, but in saying that, if Crimson can get back on this gold mine, I don't think he's going to be too badly off if he can try and break through and put Kaspar behind. Although he is now in H3 and doesn't have the nice gold reserves that Kaspar has at this point, because Kaspar has that nice 1.8k gold bank. He can sort of afford to be being pushed off gold mines for a little bit. Just sort of needs to shuffle his eco around to be a bit more food oriented for the next minute, and then he can really make use of all that bank, take a big fight, and sort of no matter how it goes, unless it's completely Crimson's way, be able to afford maxing back out and taking another good fight. So another couple of markets being attempted here from Crimson, but he's going to get a bit of a shock. But in saying that, because Kaspar is on this side here with this, getting this stone mine, Crimson's going to scout this, and he's going to have stuff here, I think, to defend. He's moving his whole army over. In fact, that's 50 bowmen. Holy shit, that's a lot. It's a nutty amount of bowmen. So Kaspar actually going for another sneaky workshop. This is interesting. Crimson is actually going to be dangerously close to scouting this, but he's not going to be able to. It's the workers are distance gathering, but anyway, over here on the top side of Crimson's base, you got this nice little raid happening, and Crimson's streaming his forces back, but that sort of gives his opponent the clearance to set up next to his double siege workshops. So that's going to really leave Crimson in a bit of hot water, I think, because he's being denied off this topside gold. He's got 27 gold gatherers though, so he's still getting this gold next to his second town centre. Still getting this gold next to his first town centre. And if he sees this, he should be able to, yeah, so he's quick on being able to get the villagers out. Doesn't actually lose one in that process, so does lose one. So he's done a good job here. Just needs to watch these mounted archers. Try not to take too much damage with them. So, taking a couple of big shots, and they're expensive units, so you want to try and keep them alive. And because Crimson has so many bowmen, he doesn't have a lot to really deal with this ram. He doesn't really have the Asabara he needs to really tidy that up quickly, because he's already losing production facilities, so that's going to put a bit of a dent in him. And in the meantime, he's taking a raid from this backside of his base. He's going to get these markets finished up though, but I don't know if Cass can actually see them. So Cass doesn't know about the markets yet. He would have seen the villager, I think, but doesn't actually know about the market. he's just going to go guard this fortress. So this is actually going to deny Crimson the ability to get this nice long distance gathering with his markets. But these mounted archers are going to hit really hard. And Kaspara actually starting the same sort of siege creep on the other side of his opponent's base. Actually walling in this workshop because I think he wants to now try and mass up a couple of rams behind it and then push in with a lot of them at once. So he's getting really set up to try and have the killing blow on Crimson, but I don't think Crimson's going to have any of it. He's managed to defend quite well here actually. He's only lost a single production facility and a couple of houses. And does he actually see this? So Crimson can now see this, so he's actually going to come and tidy that up. Kaspara playing a little bit too greedy on that perhaps. Maybe just throwing a second one down here would have been ideal, because that still hasn't been scouted. So Crimson actually in a good spot to try and push onto this fortress before it finishes up. There's only 3 workers on it. Oh, he just needs to get workers. Oh, I mean, he just needs to get the workers. Oh, that's going to be quite rough for him, but I think he's more worried about defending at home at this stage. Yeah, he really... Oh, if he had to snipe those workers, this fortress would have been basically useless, and I think he would have actually had the units to take this fight, because there was actually more bowmen than Toxotes there, so I think that was a little bit of an error there. And oh, Crimson having to defend on multiple sides of his base now. There's Prodromos coming in, who are going to lose those fights versus the mounted archers if there's a fairly good number of them, and if the mounted archers are sort of pulled back as well. But there's so many of the Prodromos that I think they're going to be able to just largely mop that up. So, oh, that's a lot of idle villagers there for Crimson. So 74 to 82 the villager counts at the moment. Kaspara doing a nice job at actually walling in his opponent around the Ghost Lake. There's only a bit of segment there that can be sort of raided from. But I think Kaspara is going to look at patching that up as he, just after he takes this fight, and he's aging it to age 4 now. He wants to try and max out fully, and he's even gathering the stone he needs to make use of the age 4 upgrades and the town centre. Although he needs to probably get a little bit more stone, but in saying that, he's probably more set on trying to get enough gold to really keep backing this fight up, because right now he's really putting the pressure on Crimson. He's even got a watchtower down there. The Crimson doing a good job at defending here. Kaspara not able to crack him at all. So there's some nice defense there from Crimson. A lot of range damage, which he likes to play when he plays Persia. He's even got some Takabara chasing. Not getting a lot of value out of them chasing, but I think they might have just been sort of auto-rallied in. Now on this side, oh, more Rams and Prodromos attacking Crimson, so he needs to make something happen here. He is doing a good job at cleaning these raids up for the most part, but every time Kaspara does it, he's creeping forward, he's taking more and more of the map under his control, he's taking advantage of having such nice gathering. Crimson, I don't even know if he's got a market yet, so, I mean, I don't even know if he's managed to secure his markets, and he'd lost these ones up here, so it's been quite rough for him. He's basically lost 4 markets over the course of this game. He's not behind by a huge amount, but he is behind. He's down in age. He's nearly maxed, but so is Kaspara, and there's a continual running in of the battering rams. And oh, this is a bit of a panic in a sense. Crimson doesn't want to lose the stables, but he doesn't actually have any repairing it, so the stables is going to go down. The ram is going to take that out. A bunch of mounted archers heading across the field now, because Crimson needs to deal a good amount of damage to his opponent. But this is a good amount of mounted archers here, so he's got 18 of the buggers. He really doesn't want them focusing buildings because they'll take forever to actually kill them. But he's a bit more concerned with cleaning up his base at this point in time. He's pulling these villagers back. Kaspara doing a good job actually harassing them then, but a couple of units coming out there and falling quickly to the mounted archers. So sometimes it's not such a bad idea to camp your opponent's production facilities with a good range ball. And the rams here, oh, Crimson really needs to be catching the rams as they come out, I think, because that's really the only way to make that into a positive sort of situation. Oh, this is going to be quite tough for him. He's got his army quite split up here. He is going to get some good damage out with these mounted archers, but down here Kaspara is taking a really good fight against him. Right now village counts 86 to 84 in favour of Kaspara, but the production facilities of Crimson's are really in tatters right now. He's going to have to rush to get a lot of buildings out. He's got the wood to get a lot of buildings out, so I think... Ooh, if he can spot this ram... Oh, he has already spotted the ram, so... Crimson doing a wonderful job at picking up on that now. But right now, these villagers are just going to be rallied onto that gold mine where they're going to meet their untimely demise, so... It's going to be rough, because Kaspar has 36 Oxodes. Population's about 100 different at this point. GG. Yeah, so that was a really good game. Crimson with the interesting, and I think it was ultimately worth it, his initial start with the that little hit A10, because the A10s itself around his base would have no doubt given him more value over the course of the game. I think if he had rated a little bit better, he probably could have actually put Kaspar through hell, but it seems like he must have been a bit distracted, so Kaspar definitely earned that victory, but I'm just sort of saying Crimson, I don't know, plays these games at some crazy time in the morning, all the way from America. It's actually, yeah, doing a really nice job at trying to pick his work account back up there time and time again. But, yeah, well played, guys. Well, actually, let's have a bit of a look at Gathered. So, Crimson ultimately does fall behind on the Gathering, having been boxed in, forced onto farms, and not really having that market because Kaspar was able to deny 4 of them, so... Here we go, village accounts. But he doesn't show you, like... Oh, well, that's what the graph's for. Units, similar number, actually, so... Actually surprised Crimson was able to have so much more in the bank. Yeah, that's interesting. Kaspar must have funneled, well, obviously he did funnel a lot of it into his buildings, but that's crazy. 47 destroyed buildings. Anyways, thanks for watching, guys.